Ethiopia is a big country, big hearts, and a painful history. Their Christian roots are deeper than the discovery of our own continent. My first trip there was both energizing and disturbing. The energy came from the amazing culture and rich souls of the people. There is a beauty in the eyes of the farmer who stops and greets you on the road. There is a beauty in the music of village kids singing praises to God. In fact, even their word or phrase for thank you is literally, thanks be to God. So both young and old relate to their Maker in humble and joyful ways. Even their coffee ceremony, which includes spices and the fire that roasts their coffee beans. It's like a priest waving frankincense in the procession at church. And yes, their food with tibs and injera, or eating together, is like the breaking of bread at the Last Supper with Jesus. You are made to feel welcomed. People matter in this culture. At least, that is what their smiles, eyes, and touch presented to us. The disturbing part came from seeing a baby that most likely had AIDS and women in the villages carrying water uphill for miles. The water they carry causes many of the kids to have bloated stomachs full of parasites. The knowledge that women lose several of their children at childbirth is a pain these people share. In fact, 1 in 5 moms do not survive childbirth in these areas. Conditions like fistula are not uncommon. This is where a woman could be in labor for several days, which causes hernias in her rectum or urinary tract and loss of her child. We visited the famous Hamlin Fistula Hospital in Addis Ababa, where these often ostracized women get care and treatment. We learned there that prevention in the rural areas with medical training and improved midwifery could make a huge difference. That is where the pieces came together for me, with the hope that Doma International's rural clinic in Bora will bring. We had the privilege of driving 12 hours from Addis on what we would not call main roads, then hiking from the end of those roads over 6 miles from an elevation of 8,000 feet to almost 10,000 feet. There we met the people of Bora in the Gamo Gofa region of southern Ethiopia. We met with the Doma Medical Clinic team to assist them for 2 days. And when this clinic was held in a church made of mud walls, the Doma volunteers saw hundreds. The hike. As you might imagine, there's not much oxygen as you get close to 10,000 feet in elevation, and climbing uphill could normally be a chore. One picture sealed in my mind and in our team's mind was that of a porter carrying up 2 full-size suitcases on her back. She was literally carrying her full body weight on her back, then proceeds to pass us up on a steep hill. Many earn their living as porters there. As Armin, a former Georgia Tech linebacker and fellow teammate, said, "I have never seen such a feat of strength in my entire life." We were all stunned. Of course, to get water and goods to the village, many do this on their backs or with very skinny horses or mules. If I ever thought I was out of shape, add the experience of climbing to 10,000 feet and being lapped by an elderly woman. And add to that a conversation I had with a teenager who came to me and asked, "What do you eat to be so wide?" As he pulled his hands apart to demonstrate. He did not say this to make fun of me. It was something he wanted for himself. I told him we eat a lot of pizza in America. Also, kids giggled, "Mobile, mobile." Later, that was translated for me as slang for a man's spare tire around his waist. The bulge that a mobile phone creates when worn as a belt or on your belt became the description for a rare sight of fat around the waist. Let me tell you, not many spare tires to be found among a people who hike uphill and downhill daily and work the land. We arrived to the clinic area to the kids singing "Doma, Doma" and cheering us on. After that hike, we needed some encouragement. In 2 days of clinic, we saw one baby that most likely had AIDS, mothers who were pregnant, and various rashes and ailments for both young and old people. We had to keep the kids busy while their family members were being treated in the clinic, so that meant bubbles, stickers, balls, soccer, volleyball, and jump rope, whatever it would take. One scene I'll never forget is when Janice, an OBGYN doctor, removed a bean from the nose of a baby. The moving part of that was how concerned the parents of other children were for this child. Tears of empathy flowed. The people were sensitive and concerned for the pain of this small child, and it wasn't even their own child. And that's the baby there?
I just delivered a bean from a 3-year-old boy's nose. Normally I deliver babies, that's my specialty, but today I delivered a bean.
Amber, the Doma medical coordinator, had things really set up well in the church. There was a place where people, of course, were there to check in, and two medical assistants would take history and names and so forth, and then they'd sit in a line waiting to see one of the medical professionals for further care. And after they received their care, their prescriptions that were needed, they'd be taken over to another line, which was waiting to get into the pharmacy, where they'd actually get their drugs and then their prescription filled there. There was also a room for prayer where there was a pastor, the pastor of the church there, who would pray over people, and I had a privilege of doing that once or twice at least, and that was a very moving experience for me. The other station that was also there too was a place where young women were taken and interviewed, because statistics are very important to find out how to treat people in the future and for planning with the clinic there.
Number of times she's been pregnant. How many times that she's been pregnant? Five times pregnant. Has she ever lost a child? Has a child died?
She's died three children died.
Oh, 3.
For part of the second clinic day, I went with Amber, the Doma medical coordinator, and Israel, our translator, and Doma Ethiopia director, on house calls. Amber saw about a dozen people in the village, including Chief Meke, who had some typical stomach issues. Imagine spicy food and coffee. These are barley rolls in this picture we were served while attending the chief. Barley is one of the main things they grow here to eat. They serve this with a pepper and garlic sauce that is not for the faint of heart, by the way. Included with that is the home brew. I opted not to have that on advice of our leader, Amber. The water is not safe to drink, she says. We had to consistently be careful of that. Then I remembered that this is the water they drink.
We were called down to a couple of homes down the mountain a bit to visit some people that couldn't leave their homes, and some elders of the community to care for them. They had some different illnesses, from stomachs to infections, that we were able to provide care for.
Okay, and how'd that go?
It went well. We were able to help a couple of them. Some of them couldn't get out of bed, so we gave some rehydration fluids and medicine, so hopefully they'll be able to get better soon.
Our team of a businessman, semi-retired, student, doctor, pastor, musician, and author represented a good cross-section of the public, I suppose. There's something special about being on this type of a trip with people. We all became friends and were truly changed by this experience. This is Tom, and Tom, you have a special place in your heart for Africa, don't you?
I do. I have 3 kids from Africa that are adopted. One of them not home yet, and then the other 2 are identical twins that have been in our home for 2 years.
So what's it like to be here right now?
Oh, it's fantastic to be here. You know, I get a much better sense for how the people in most of the country live. It's a lot different from just being in the big city and seeing what's going on there. You know, you get a chance to see the people, and you know, one of the things that I always thought was true about Ethiopia, and it's really proven to be true here, is that the people are just incredibly friendly and open. You know, you just don't find that many places in the world.
So what's your duties in the clinic?
Well, so far I'm helping in the pharmacy, which means that I'm basically providing conversation. Because we haven't really had anything come down here yet, but I'm sure it will get hot and heavy shortly.
This is Steve, who I've just met this week. Tell us about the trip to get up to this spot, Bora.
It was a real challenge, but I did make it. It took 3.5 hours. It's quite a climb, but met some wonderful people along the way. The folks will just come up and want to speak to you for a moment and move on. It's just a blessing. That little lady that couldn't talk and the tear running down her cheek, it just really touched me.
This is pretty life-changing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I've been a believer for a long time, but you get in a situation here where you can really see how you can be Jesus for other people. And actually, they're being Jesus for us. I've been lifted up.
So we're doing a clinic here, and what are you going to do?
Well, right now, surprisingly enough, my title's runner.
After running up 10,000 feet.
Right. I guess I got enough left in the tank to do that. But I'm just going to rove between the various stations they have set up. Somebody needs an errand run or something, I'll pitch in, whatever they want.
After we finished up at the pharmacy today, as we walked out, a young mother had come up behind us. And she hugged us to thank us. And it was, I've used this word 100 times since it's true, but it was amazing. And my heart is so full in my chest from being here. So this is definitely worth the trip. You should come. You should be part of something like this. It's rewarding beyond anything that I could have ever thought to experience. So I'm thankful that God's allowed me the opportunity to meet these wonderful people and be part of this. So this will be something that I'll probably continue to do now. It'll be a new part of my life.
We did get to see some fun things about Ethiopia, such as giant hippos and massive crocodiles, baboons, and amazing vistas. Yes, the coffee is amazing there too. In fact, Ethiopia is the birthplace of coffee. Those who know me, yes, that did perk my interest. The food, spicy, the people warm, the climate was milder than I expected being so close to the equator, but with the elevation about 7,500 feet in the city of Addis and higher in the regions we climbed to, I guess that makes sense. Our time in the village was rich. We slept in the chief and his family's elephant huts, with their families and their animals too. Yes, their animals share a portion of the hut. Part of the tradition is foot washing before you sleep. It was an amazing honor to be a guest and to be treated so well. Our last night we celebrated by buying 2 goats for a feast with the chief and the people we were with. The chief did the honors of beginning the slaughter of the goats, and some of us helped finish it off. Even though the night was rainy and cold and we were huddled in a barn, kids were singing in the background as we shared the sacramental feast of this goat together with the villagers. It was a mystical moment. The campfire time each night with singing and dancing bonded us with the people of Bora. The goat tasted really good, by the way. There is the village of Bora that I will never forget. Their nearly 90-year-old chief, the youngest of his family, had shared how he thought the arrival of Doma was a miracle to his people, a miracle from God bringing hope. Chief Meke shared how it meant much to him being able to see this clinic happen in his lifetime. Health is being brought to his people. Hope is coming. Like those kids singing Doma Doma, it's a strong farmer coming to help them plant seeds that will allow women to live and to have healthy pregnancies, and with all of that, prevent orphans too. If 1 in 5 women die in childbirth in this region, that can be changed. The Hidoto Clinic, which means hope in Gamo, the local language, will be built in 2012, serving these very people in May. James in his book of the Bible says that that is true religion. I will never be the same from seeing how some young, entrepreneurial, and smart people live this out. How will I live this out? How will you?